If you're waiting to feel motivated before changing your life, you're making the biggest mistake that most people don't even realize. And this isn't because you lack motivation, it's quite the opposite actually. You're relying on motivation way too much, it's not going to help you. Guys, think about it. You think the most successful people in the world are the most motivated? Of course not. But they stopped relying on motivation, instead they built discipline. Think about it. Do you think these successful people will wake up every day feeling motivated? Of course not. Of course, they'll have days when they're tired, days when they feel like doing anything. But then they still have to do the work, right? The difference is they don't ask themselves, do I feel motivated enough today? Instead, they ask themselves, what needs to be done? That's why they're successful. Their actions aren't controlled by their emotions, but instead the habits that they built. If you're waiting to feel motivated before taking action, you'll waste your whole life waiting, and then you'll live with regrets. But if you learn to act regardless of how you feel, you'll build something far more powerful, discipline. Before we continue, my name's Orion, and I help young adults and teenagers build their mental clarity and discipline through the Depression Reset Method. If you are interested, book a call with me with the first link in the description, and I'll be happy to see you. Guys, one of the biggest problems with motivation that most people don't even realize is that it depends on external factors. And you can't always control these external factors, right? Yes, there are some things you can control, such as who you spend your time with. Let's say your whole friend group's always happy, you're always going to feel happy, right? But now say your whole friend group's depressed, you're also going to feel depressed. This is because you're always going to be a product of your surroundings. But some things you can't control, like sleep, you'll feel bad afterwards, right? And then when you feel bad, you won't have motivation. And for most people, that's where motivation disappears. That's why relying on motivation is risky. It gives your emotions control over your actions. Especially if you don't have good control over your emotions, it can really make life difficult. But discipline works differently. Discipline is saying, I'll do this without feeling motivated. Discipline is saying, I don't feel like going to the gym, but I'll still go anyways because I know it's good for me. Or I don't feel like studying, but I'll still study for the next 30 minutes. The people who make the most progress aren't always the ones that are the most motivated. But they're the ones that kept on showing up even when life became difficult. The goal isn't to wake up every morning feeling inspired. Instead, it's to wake up every morning feeling disciplined. To work towards your goals no matter how you feel. Because if your actions depend on your emotions, you'll always have inconsistent results. But if you're disciplined, you'll be more consistent, right? One of the biggest traps people fall into without even realizing is mistaking motivation for action. Some people believe watching a motivational video will change their life. And if you wake up the next morning thinking, oh, I'm going to be productive today. And then you tell yourself your life's going to change tomorrow. But then nothing happens. Why is that? It's because consuming content can feel productive, but it's not the same as taking action. You see, watching someone else's hard work does not make you disciplined. It's the same way as if you were to watch someone go to the gym. It doesn't build you muscle, right? Or watch someone else build a business. It doesn't build your own business, right? The only thing that actually creates results is action. Whether or not you take it is up to you. Motivational content can be useful if it inspires you to get started. But if you're only consuming it, it's not going to be useful at all. And then you become stuck in a cycle where you think you're doing stuff but you're not. And this is one of the most dangerous cycles to be stuck in. As your day feels productive, but it's actually not. A good question to ask yourself at the end of every day is, did I spend more time learning about success or actually doing the work? Because information about implementation means nothing, right? The people who change their life don't just consume content, but they apply it to everyday life. Even if it's just one small action every day, it's still progress, right? Another reason why motivation is keeping you stuck, probably the biggest reason, is that it creates an all or nothing mindset. People with this mindset think, oh, I have to do everything perfectly, when they don't. But instead, this actually just slows them down in life. Because they can do it not perfectly, but good enough. But wasting time making sure everything's perfect will never lead to more success, right? These are the same people that tell themselves, oh, I'm going to wake up at 5 AM, or I'm going to train every day. And they actually stick to it for a few days. But then they sleep in once and then their whole structure is destroyed. They start missing workouts, they start eating junk food. And instead of thinking, oh, I'll get back on it tomorrow, they just stop doing it completely. The problem isn't that they missed out one day. Instead, it's that they thought they had to be perfect. Discipline doesn't work like that. People who have discipline understand that consistency beats perfection every time. If you're disciplined enough, missing one workout won't ruin your progress. What actually matters is what you do most of the time, instead of what you did just one time. Think about it like climbing a staircase. If you miss one step, you don't go all the way back down, do you? You continue going from where you left off. Habits should work the same way. Stop treating one mistake like you ruined your entire life. The people who change their lives aren't the people who never mess up, but instead the people who mess up and get back on track right after. These are the people who don't wait for the next Monday, they don't wait for the next week, they don't wait for the next month even. They just take action straight away. Guys, to end off this video, I want you guys to ask yourself one question. And the question is not, do I feel motivated enough today? Because that's irrelevant if you have discipline, right? The question is, how can I add one thing to my life to make myself more disciplined? Guys, if you've enjoyed this video or you found any use in what I've said, please make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.